What's up everybody? In this video I'm showing you the easiest way to shoot a hyperlapse without a tripod, just like this. Alright guys, so the first thing about hyperlapses is you want to have everything in manual, your white balance, all your settings in manual, your focus. Once you get your focus set, you want to turn into your autofocus off so you don't need your focus moving in between your shots. Now, I chose this hospital. I'm going to have that cross as my focus point, and what I'm going to do is no tripod, no anything. I'm using just my camera, just my hands. That's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the viewfinder, put my focus point right on that cross, and every shot I take, I'm gonna go just right on that cross. It's gonna be the same focus point every single time. It's not gonna move. You want that to be the place where when you add your warp stabilizer, which I'm gonna show you guys here in a second, that's gonna be where the center of your image, the center of your hyperlapse is gonna be the entire time. I'm gonna orbit around the church. You can do it going straight forward, straight back, and what you wanna do is you wanna take a shot, move the exact same amount, so one step, however you want to do it, make sure it's the exact same. Now, not by, it doesn't have to be exact to the inch, but you want to just do the same every single time, and you want to keep relatively the same amount of time in between the shots, whether it's a couple seconds, 10 seconds, 15. You can set up an interval timer if you have an intervalometer, or if you can do it in the camera. You can do it that way, or you can just count in your head. Now, you want to take about 150 shots minimum. At 24 frames a second, that's going to give you about a 5-second clip, which is a pretty good clip for a hyperlapse. So what I'll do is I'll just set up, I'll shoot, and I'll move. Shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, and move. That's all I'm doing, shoot, move every single time. So I'm just going to take a shot, and then I'm going to move, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep that focus point. I'll move the focus point around till I get it right to where I want my composition to be, and then I'm going to leave it there, and I'm never going to move that focus point once I start taking my shots. So just everything's going to be, like I said, everything white balance, everything in manual. Once you get that focus point, put your camera in the manual focus so it doesn't move. Then you're just going to go and count your 150 shots, and like I said, just take this exact same step every single time. It's super simple. This isn't hard at all. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go home. I'm gonna jump on the computer. I'm gonna show you guys how to process it and get you guys your hyperlapse. All right guys, so I've already imported all the photos here. There's 161, as you guys can see here. I went ahead and I edited already, so I'll show you guys just kind of what I do. I don't do too much editing when I'm doing hyperlapses or time lapses. I kind of tend to do that in Premiere Pro. So you see I dropped down the highlights, raised the shadows a little bit, brought down the whites, just because this area right over here is a bit bright and overblown, or blown out I should say. Clarity, vibrance, and that's pretty much it. I don't do much else to it, just do the sharpening, like normal. Don't do too much as far as color goes. I don't go out of control. Like I said, I try and do that later on in Premiere, grade it the way I want to grade it. So that's it. So now just hit G to go back to the group, and then I hit Command A, select all, and go ahead and hit sync settings. So once you select that first photo, edit it, then you want to sync it to the rest of everything, the rest of the images. So make sure that, and I've already done it. So that's it, and then go up to File, Export, and then you want to go into a specific folder. I choose a hard drive, the folder you want, and then right here you want to go into custom name and sequence. What that does is that make sure that every photo is in sequence 1 through 161, or however many photos you have, because that's very important when putting this time lapse together. So I created custom text. I just named it hyperlapse, and then the number it starts with is 1. JPEG, color space is sRGB, quality at 100. I don't do any cropping here at all. I want to put it in a 4K sequence, but I'm going to wait and do that in Premiere Pro. I do not want to crop because when I add the warp stabilizer to it, I'm going to need those extra pixels. So that's about it. Don't do anything else, and just go ahead and hit export. Now I've already exported these into a file, so now we can go into Premiere Pro here. What I do is I'll go up to File, Sequence, and what I want to do is I've created a custom 4K file. So what I did was 23.974 frames per second, because 24 frames a second is what you want your video to be at. Frame size is 3840 by 2160, which is 4K. Again, that's the frame rate, aspect ratio 1, and I've created all this in a preset. So this is a custom preset. Then you can rename your sequence if you want. I'm just going to put Hyperlapse and click OK. Now I'm going to go into File and I'm going to import my images. So what I want to do here is, this is the folder. So you find your folder that you put your JPEGs in that you exported to, and you click on this first one here, go under Options, make sure Image Sequence is checked. A lot of times that won't be checked, so make sure that's checked. That's going to import everything in a sequence. That's going to create a video right there for you, so you want to go ahead and hit Import. So once that's all imported, ready to go, you want to go ahead and drag and drop on your timeline. It's going to come up with a little dialog box here that says changes. You want to click Keep Existing Settings, because you want it to stay in 4K, not what your images are. So go ahead and stretch that out here. Now, the first thing you want to do is, you can see obviously the size is going to be different, so you want to make sure it's highlighted. Go into under Effects Control and go ahead and get that opacity down to where you want it to be. Not the opacity, I'm sorry, the scale. 47 is perfect, because when you add that warp stabilizer on your timeline, it's going to zoom in just a little bit just to make sure everything's stabilized. So I'm going to go ahead and hit, it's going to render. You see this red box right here, or this red line. You want to hit Return, and that's going to render your video. So give it a second here to render. It's going to take a little bit, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back, and I want to go ahead and I'll hit play here to show you guys the version. There we go. As you can see, this is before the warp stabilizer. This is how it works. Looks pretty good so far. Obviously, it's pretty bouncy, but that's where the magic of the warp stabilizer comes in. So from here, what I do is, you guys notice up here across the top, you have editing, which is what I'm in now, the module I'm in now. Then you got color. And I tend to use each one of these. If I'm working on the color, I'll just do the color. If I'm working on putting the timeline together, I'll be in editing. But when I want to work on effects, which is what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into the effects tab, and then on this side over here, I want to look up warp stabilizer. So warp, and you got your warp stabilizer right here. You want to go ahead and drag and drop right onto your timeline. All right, so before I do that, before I drop the warp stabilizer on, I want to nest it. Now, a lot of times when you try and drag the warp stabilizer onto a clip, it'll give you a sign saying you can't do it. So what you do is you just nest it first. So just simply right click, go up to nest, and nest it. Real simple. Now I type in warp stabilizer. Just go warp. It's under the video effects, under distort. You got warp stabilizer, bring it and drag it and drop it on there. And then I'll usually do the smoothness down to about 10%. And then if I need to go more, I'll just add it a second time. So wait for it to render here. All right, guys, so now I have this all done. What I did over here, you can see the smoothness was set to 5%. I was up at 10%, 15, down to 8. Finally, I settled on 5, and it's a bit of a process to get it used to, guys. I didn't want to show you guys that whole process because it takes forever. Now that I have it all done, you guys can see here, the one thing that I can do, and the one thing I'm going to do right now, is I'm going to nest it again. And the reason why I'm nesting it again is because I'm going to speed it up. And you can't speed it up and put a warp stabilizer on the same clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under right click, under speed duration, and I'm going to change it to 200%. It's going to be about a 3-second clip, which is perfect for a time for a hyperlapse, just because you don't 10 seconds and even 6 or 7 seconds for a hyperlapse like this is a bit long. So 3 seconds is perfect. So now go ahead and hit it. And there it is, guys. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and render it out now, and you're going to see the final image right here. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you on the next one.